and was it the rabbit stew, whatever it is?
Oh, yeah.
Why didn't you bring some over here for crying out loud? I'm hungry.
I can't bring my black pot with me.
Ron Guidry.
Trust me, if I could, I would.
Yogi, if it was good enough for Yogi, it'd be good enough for Chris Russo. Ron Guidry, the Gator, My Life in Pinstripes. Right? It's in my era. Tori's probably enjoying this too. The great Steve Tori loves this stuff as well. Let's do Thurman for a sec. You got there with the Yankees, and Thurman is, he's still in the prime. 76, won the MVP in 76.
Right.
You had a big factor in that 76 team. 77 was your first breakout year. You had him for the 2 years. Then he has the terrible plane crash. But you talk about a winner. You talk about a grinder. He didn't care who got the credit. Give him a little rundown on Thurman Munson.
Well, he was the heart and soul of the team. The unquestioned leader. He was the captain, but he's the guy, like the old commercial about the E.F. Hutton. When they speak, you listen. Well, when he spoke, everybody listened. But he's the guy that drove you. He's the guy that we pitched to. Very good as a teammate, a competitor. Loved to win probably more than anybody else on the team, and wanted to win. He felt like we should win every game. And as a pitcher, he takes so much pressure off of you, because when I was told that I have to, they're going to move you in the starting rotation. Okay, fine, because the first couple of games that I pitched were actually out of the bullpen, and it's the first time that he came up to me, because as a starter, you go over the stuff with the catcher. He told me, he said, just trust me. He said, this is what I want you to do. He said, if you see this, give me the best one. He said, if you see this one, give me the best one. He said, that's all you need to know.
2 fingers, just give me the best you got.
This is a fastball.
You didn't shake him off once.
You shake him off, he's going to chew your butt out. He's going to call. He's going to ask you, and exactly what do you hope to do by that?
He controlled the game as behind the plate,
without a doubt. Now he had fun with you. He made pitching fun because he joked with you. You give up a home run. You give up a home run to a guy like Jim Rice. Okay, it's going to travel a long distance. Okay, well I did. I gave up one to Jim Rice one day, and he walked out and he told me, he said, anything that travels that far should have an airline ticket attached to it.
Yeah.
And he turned around and he walked away. But he wants you to forget about that, get back to business. It's only a solo home run. You're still winning. Let's go.
Was he offended when Sparky in 76 said it's an insult to compare anybody to Johnny Bench at the World Series?
I think so. Yes, I think he was.
He was bothered by that.
I think it was on his mind.
Now, Sparky apologized.
He did. For saying it eventually. A little later on. But I think when it came out, and in the heat of battle, things are done or said. Sometimes you wish it wouldn't have happened, or you wouldn't have said them. And I'm sure Sparky didn't mean what it came out to be. Like you can't compare him to Bench.
Nobody should be compared to Bench.
But it's like I honestly think that it affected him. He never said it did, but I honestly think it did.
You knew him well enough, all right?
I knew him well enough. But it never stopped him from doing the job that he was doing. He never changed because of. He still remained Thurman Munson.
Did he coexist with Reggie? Did he learn to like Reggie, or did he dislike Reggie?
I don't know if those two guys ever really wound up liking each other. I never asked him. I never asked Reggie.
You saw by body language and things like that.
Look, we have to play together. Nowhere in my contract says I have to like anybody. It just says I get paid to play for the New York Yankees and produce services rendered. Well, I stayed out of that. It didn't concern me. It was about somebody else. So, if they patched up their differences, I couldn't even tell you they wound up to be best of friends. I don't know. Being enemies, I can't tell you that either. All I know is what I saw. I saw him shaking hands when Thurman would get a game-winning hit. I saw Thurman. He was the first one there when Reggie hit the 3 home runs. So I don't know. We didn't get along with a lot of people on that team. A lot of us didn't get along with the guys on there. I don't even know if they liked me when I was there. But we played together because we were New York Yankees.
Well, all right, so the Thurman Reggie discussion is interesting. Now, the 79 George took over, did a great job of taking care of all the arrangements and everything else. That was George at his best when Thurman had the plane crash. Right. Where were you when you got that news? It was a Friday night, if I'm not mistaken, was it? Or was it a Thursday night?
No, it was a Monday. It was a day game. It was off. We had the off day.
Yeah, it was during the week? Okay,
we had just flown in from Chicago because he had flown his jet to Chicago. He was planning to fly back for the off day on Monday, and then he'd return to the team in New York on Tuesday. So he was practicing touch-and-go landings at the airport at Canton when the accident occurred.
Right. Now, where are you?
And I'm home. It was around noontime. The phone rang, and I just so happened to be close to it. I answered it, and it was Mr. Steinberg. And he said, Gator, he said, this is George. He says, I have bad news. He said, we just learned Thurman was killed in a plane crash. He says, we're all meeting at the stadium at 4 o'clock. He said, make your way to the stadium, and we're going to talk about what's going to happen next. So, of course, I had tears in my eyes. It was tough to drive from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, where I lived, to the stadium. I don't even remember how I got there. I did. I walked in, sat down in my locker. Everyone was in their lockers. It was very quiet. Mr. Steinbrenner came in, and he told us what was going to happen, that he had chartered a flight. We were going to fly. They were going to have the services the next day. We were going to fly back, and as soon as we got back and everything was ready, we'd played the game that night. So that was pretty tough. I mean, it was tough to play. And
remember, first day back, they put the blank the day he died, or the day after, they left home plate open for a while.
The next night, what happened was when we played the game, when the game started, I pitched the game. I walked in. They told me, okay, well, Brad Golden was the call-up guy. He was the guy that was supposed to catch the game. I walked out, stood on the mound. They played the national anthem, and when I turned around, what occurred then was the umpires were two abreast the home plate, and it was empty. And Golden had stayed in because they were paying a tribute to Thurman on the board. So, they did all that, and you're standing on the mound, and you're watching. So
you pitched the day after you pitched. The funeral, the Monday night game against the Orioles was 2 or 3 days later.
That was there was the Tuesday night game.
Right, and that was the famous Mercer game and everything else.
That's when we flew back from the service.
Yeah, you did not pitch that game.
That's the game that I pitched.
That's the game you pitched.
Yes,
okay.
That's the game that I pitched when we flew back from the services. Because people ask, well, what was it like? Well, I'll tell you, when I left the bullpen, I didn't even think about the game at all. It's the only time in my career where I didn't think about what I was going to try to accomplish. I didn't care. I thought there were more important things than the game of baseball at the time.
And you obviously, did the team understand that it was incredibly ironic and apropos that it was Mercer who had the big game because he got the game-winning hit? He hit a big game.
He drove in all 5 runs.
Oh, is it all 5 he drove?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we won 5-4. He drove in all 5 runs. I think with a 2-run double and a 3-run homer later on in the game, and he drove in all 5 runs. And it was fitting because he had given such a great eulogy at the services. So it was only fitting that a guy like Bobby, who had come up through New York and been a great friend of Thurman and his family, to give the eulogy and also wind up being the hero that night.
And there's a famous story that Tippy Martinez, who obviously played for the Yankees and was part of a trade down to the Orioles with McGregor and everything else. Who did the Yankees get in that trade? I forget now who it was. The big Yankee.
It was a 5-for-5, but McGregor and Tippy were part of the deal.
Going down to Baltimore, and everybody seems to think that Tippy, knowing the emotion of the night when Mercer got up there in the bottom of the 9th inning, hit the double to left field, that it was a 2-0 pitch, and he basically tipped his hand. Bobby, I'm going to give you one chance. Here comes a fastball. And then Bobby knocked him, or whatever he pitched, he knew it was coming and hit the ball down on the field line.
Well, look, knowing Tippy...
He's a classy guy. He may have done that.
Knowing Tippy... Yeah, the story could be true. You'd have to ask him, but I'm not so sure he would say because he wouldn't want to tick off Earl Weaver.
Right. That's true too. But the Orioles were in good shape, first place.
So, but if I know Tippy and we were and still are great friends, he could have done that.
Now the Orioles won that division by a long. They were good in '79.
Right. You
had going for the 3-peat. You had a good year. You won 89, 90 games.
Right.
So the Orioles were a great team.
Yes.
That was in August. How hard was it to play those last 45 games being out of it?
Well, it was like non-existent. I mean, you took one of the most integral parts of an engine out and all of a sudden there's nothing that you can put back in to replace it. So it's not going to run as easy as it should. And a lot of us just knew that no matter what, it wasn't going to be like the year before where we came back from 14 games. It just was not going to work. So it's not that we gave up. Things just didn't fall into place because you can't replace a guy like Munson, not only as a catcher, but as a hitter. Where he hits in the lineup is crucial to its success. So taking him out, now you got the hitting deficiency and a pitching deficiency. You can't replace that.
Right, and the Orioles were good. The
Orioles were very good.
That year they had a hell of a year. We continue with Mr. Guidry, 18-5. His Yankees lead today 7-1, so we'll have to get over that. Stanton's hit a home run, so is Sanchez and Judge, all three of them. That's not the first time you're going to see that this year, right, Ron?
I think you're going to see it often.
We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed.